Dear viewer, thank you for again coming to check on my YouTube channel. I'm still your teacher, Charles Batenwarinda. Today we are starting a brand new subtopic under cell biology for those ones who are in advanced level called histology. So histology here we're looking at the study of tissues. And in this episode we are going to break down all the tissues in general. Now, tissues, what are tissues? From what you know, I am sure some of you already know some of these things, that tissues is a group of cells. When cells come together and perform a particular function, we refer to them as tissues. So in this episode, we are going to look at an introduction to tissues. Then in other subsequent episodes, we are going to be looking at more other details on specific tissues in particular. So we are saying histology is the study of tissues. Now, when a person is still in a mother's womb, when you are still a fetus, after the sperm and the egg have united and they have formed a zygote, what happens is that the zygote undergoes a process known as cleavage, where the zygote undergoes rapid, where the cells divide very fast and they form a ball, kind of a ball which is like this, a ball of cells, and then the cells which are inside keep on dividing rapidly without enlarging in size. Now we are saying when the cells are finished dividing and we have formed very many copies of themselves, what happens is that these very many cells which have formed from the process of cleavage they organize themselves into 3 layers. And those 3 layers are the first tissues that we form during embryonic development. And what is that? These tissues organize themselves into 3 layers, and those 3 layers we have got a layer of cells which come and form the outermost layer. So we have cells which form the outermost layer, and those cells, or that outermost layer, or that tissue which is in the outermost is called the ectoderm. So the ectoderm is one of the tissues within the embryonic development. And this tissue is the one which will later, or this group of cells called the ectoderm, is the one which will later develop into organs like what? Like the skin. And then we have also got these cells again later divide themselves into another layer, and this next layer of cells, the second layer, the layer which is in between there, is what we are calling the mesoderm. So this mesoderm is what we later develop into connective tissues, the likes of skeleton and so on. So the connective tissues come from the mesoderm. Mesoderm is a group of cells during embryonic development that form the middle layer. And then other cells, these ones which are other cells, form the innermost layer. So we also have other cells which come and form the innermost layer here. And now those cells which are in the innermost part, those cells form what we call the endoderm. And this endoderm are the ones, these cells which form the endoderm are the ones which will develop into organs like the gut and so on. So in simple terms, during embryonic development, the three tissues we have, or the 3 types of tissues we have in a fetus when they are still in the mother's womb, these are the 3: ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Ectoderm develops into organs like the skin, mesoderm develops into connective tissues, the skeleton, and so on, and endoderm develops into organs or systems like the gut. So these 3 layers we call them germ layers. So now this is at a stage where an organism is undergoing embryonic development. That is in case of animals. But to broaden it, tissues, if I have tissues here, tissues are categorized into 2. And what are these? Of course, you know we have got tissues which are found in plants and tissues which are found in animals. So we have got animal tissues, and we have also got plant tissues. Those are the major categories. Those ones which are found in plants and those ones which are found in animals. This one doesn't mean that other organisms which are in other kingdoms like the Monera and so on, they don't have, like the Protoctista and so on, they don't have tissues. They have, but majorly we're going to look at these 2, plant tissues and animal tissues. Now, the plant tissues, we are going to discuss them in other episodes. For this episode, I want to expound more on the animal tissues. Now, animal tissues, of course, these 3 I've already mentioned here during embryonic development are for animals. Of course, we may not have them when it comes to plants. So these ones I've talked about are majorly for animal tissues. So we are saying in animal tissues, this is an animal which has now matured. These animal tissues are categorized into the following categories. We have the following categories of animal tissues. And what are these categories? These categories are, we have got what we call the epithelial tissue. We have got now these epithelial tissues, a small brief about them. These are tissues which line up surfaces. For example, the one which are lining up your skin, the cells or the group of cells which line up your organs, all those ones. For example, the cells which are lining up your mouth, the cells which are lining up your gut, all those cells, all those group of cells which line up surfaces are under what we call epithelial tissues. Then we have what we call connective tissues. Connective tissues. We have also got what we call what we call muscular tissue. We have what we call muscular tissue. This one consists of muscles. Then we have also got what we call reproductive tissue. Reproductive tissue. This is where we are going to find the reproductive organs. Then we have also got what we call nervous tissue. We have what we call nervous tissue. So we have got these major tissues as far as animals are concerned. Now, of course, I cannot talk about all these ones at once. But for this episode, I'm also going to now go further and break down what we call the epithelial tissues. Why? In other episodes, we are going to look at all these other tissues. So make sure that you keep checking on this YouTube channel. Now, when it comes to epithelial tissues, I've told you that these epithelial tissues, these are tissues which line up what? Which line up surfaces. Surfaces in your bodies. It can line up organs, it can line up surfaces. Now, these tissues are categorized into two, but before we can go to the categories. Epithelial tissues have got key major characteristics I would like to first share with you, maybe if I go into breaking them down. What are these key characteristics? One, epithelial tissues, or tissues which line up surfaces, one of the things that they have is that the cells which are found in these tissues, remember, I have said that a tissue is a group of cells. When cells are together and they are performing a particular function, they form a tissue. So we are looking at now the side of tissues. So we are saying that epithelial tissues, these ones which line up surfaces, one key thing that they do is that the cells that make up this kind of tissue are closely what? They are closely packed. Why do they need to be closely packed? Why? Because if I'm lining up a surface, I need to provide maximum protection. So because the close packing enables this tissue to ensure that they provide maximum protection to that particular surface which they are lining up. Number two is that these epithelial tissues the cells within these tissues originate from a basement what? A basement membrane. A basement membrane. What do we mean by a basement membrane? The basement membrane is that area where all other cells keep on coming from. For example, if I take an example of a skin, these cells which are outside here, they keep on wearing off. So as they wear off, we need to have a layer down there which keeps on giving rise to new cells, so that they can come to replace what the cells which are wearing off. So that area where the other cells are coming from, we call it a basement membrane. And when we talk about the basement membrane, there are some other words which come into play. For example, when we talk about the basement membrane, if, for example, it's a basement membrane which is giving rise to all other tissues, all other cells, which is giving rise to all other cells, and now this is a cell which is attached to this basement membrane like this, like that. What happens is that this surface which is near the basement membrane, we call it the basal surface. We call it the basal surface. Then this surface which is on the other extreme end, away from the basement membrane, we call it the free surface. So if this is the basement membrane, if this is the basement membrane, we are saying this one which is near the surface, we call it the basal surface. Then this one which is very far, we call it the free surface. So we are saying for all tissues which belong to epithelial tissues, they have got, or there is a basement membrane where they are attached, and that's the key characteristic. Then number three is that these tissues do not have blood vessels. They lack blood vessels. So somebody might be wondering that, sir, if you are saying that the cells are lacking blood vessels, how do they get the materials? Yes, they get the materials via diffusion. So blood vessels go and stop somewhere, and then the materials like nutrients and oxygen and so on keep on diffusing, and then they come and reach those epithelial tissues. So they lack blood vessels, and therefore they get materials via diffusion. And then lastly, but not least, is that they have a high regeneration rate. They have a high regeneration rate. A high regeneration rate why do they have a high regeneration rate? It is because these tissues are always wearing off. And because they are always wearing off, it means they must always be replaced every now and then. Because they are ending up surface. If, for example, it's a skin, every time when you go to shower, the cells are wearing off. Every time when you're touching your skin, the skin is always wearing off. So these cells must be having a high regeneration rate so that they can replace those cells that are always wearing off. So these are the key features that we are having in as far as the epithelial tissues are concerned. Okay, now these epithelial tissues, these so-called epithelial tissues, are categorized into two. Now, I request that you allow me rub off this so that I can have enough space where I can now break down epithelial tissues more. So, if I can come to now epithelial tissue, we have already seen the what? We have already seen all the characteristics of these tissues, and we have said they line up surfaces. Now, if I'm to break them down, we are saying that these tissues are categorized into two. Majorly, there are two, but we are going to find that we can also add a third one. And what are these two major categories? These two major categories, we have what we call simple epithelial tissue, and then we have also got what we call the compound epithelial what? Epithelial tissue. We have got the simple epithelial tissue, and we have also got what we call the compound epithelial tissue. Now, we are saying that though we also have another, now what do we best want to categorize these tissues? We are categorizing them depending on how many layers of cells they have. For example, we have got some epithelial tissues which have got a single layer of cells that those cells form one layer. And those cells which form one layer are the ones which constitute the simple epithelial tissue. So in simple epithelial tissues, these cells are made up of, in this tissue here, the tissue is made up of a single layer of what? Of cells. But within the compound epithelial tissue, here we have got more than one layer. We have got more than one layer of what? More than one layer of what? Of cells. That's what is under the compound epithelial tissue. We have got more than one layer of cells. Now, we also have some epithelial tissues which are specific in a way that these tissues do the work of secretion. They can secrete substances. So those other epithelial tissues that irrespective of whether they are single or more layers but have the capacity of secreting some substances form the third categorization of epithelial tissues, which is called glandular epithelial tissue. So we also have another one here which is called glandular epithelial tissue. So this is now the third one. So epithelial tissues are categorized into these three. Now, allow me break down the simple epithelial tissues. Now, the simple epithelial tissues are categorized into, these ones which are made up of one layer are categorized into very many other ways depending on the nature of the cells that make them up. What do I mean here? For example, we have got the following categorization here. We have got epithelial tissues which are made up of one layer or a single layer of cells, but which fall under what we call simple squamous. Simple squamous epithelial what? Simple squamous epithelial tissue. We have also got what we call simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. We have also got what we call simple but columnar epithelial tissue. We have also what we call simple columnar ciliated. Sometimes people call this one here. Sometimes people call this one ciliated epithelial tissue, just as simple as that. That's ciliated epithelial tissue, which is okay. And then we have also what we call pseudostratified Epithelial what? Epithelial tissue. Pseudostratified epithelial tissue. Now, when you check on the words, how these words are, you realize that actually, you see, we are using some terms. Like, for example, we are saying cuboidal, we are saying squamous, we are saying columnar, we are saying ciliated, we are saying pseudo. Now, it is from those terms which give us how to differentiate, how to distinguish between these tissues. For example, in simple squamous epithelial tissue, something that is very, very important is that here, the cells in this tissue are thin. They are thin. They also have thin walls. They have thin walls. And because of this situation of the cells being thin, it therefore means that this kind of tissue is found in those areas where we need a thin distance. That's why we are going to find that this one, the simple squamous epithelial tissue is found in those areas where we need diffusion. Why? Because for diffusion to take place, we need a short diffusion distance. For example, in the alveoli, for oxygen to move from the blood vessels into the alveoli, it needs to move very fast. Therefore, it needs a short diffusion distance. Therefore, such kind of a tissue will provide that short diffusion distance. So the cells are thin. They have thin walls. And if you are to put some, for example, an illustration, you have a basement membrane here. Then this basement membrane here, where the cells are originating from, we have got cells which are thin-walled. Now, something special about these cells is that these cells have a nucleus. This nucleus is in such a way it is centrally positioned. It is centrally positioned. The nucleus is found in the center. These cells have got a nucleus which is found in the center. But because the cells are thin, what happens is that this nucleus tends to bulge, tends to form like a protrusion. So we should say that simple squamous epithelial tissue is a tissue which is made up of cells which are very thin, with a nucleus that is positioned in the center. And because the cell is thin, the nucleus tends to what? The nucleus forms a bulge, kind of like a protrusion. That is one. Now we are saying location. Where is the location? We are saying this one is located in areas like alveoli, areas like blood capillaries. Why? Because within these areas we need a short diffusion what? A short diffusion distance, and therefore the thin nature provides that. So that is it with the simple squamous epithelial tissue. We come to the cuboidal. Now cuboidal here, it means the cells are cubic. Here we are saying the cells are cubic. That means, you know, a tube is a structure which has got all 6 sides equal. So we are saying that here the cells are cubic in nature. All sides are equal, and we are saying something special here is that these cells, the cells have a nucleus. They have a nucleus, but this nucleus is centrally positioned. Is also found in the middle, centrally positioned, and it is what? And it is spherical. The shape of the nucleus is spherical. For example, if I'm to illustrate here, if this is a basement membrane like this, if that is a basement membrane, you have cells which appear like that. You have cells which are appearing like that. Now, we have cells which are appearing like that. Now, in this case, we are meaning if this side here, if this is side A and this is side B, we are saying side A should be equal to side B. In other words, all the sides of the square of the cell must be equal. That's why we are saying the cells are cubic. And then we are also saying that when you look at these cells from the outer part, from the upper part, the outside appearance is in this form here. You have such kind of appearance on top here. And this appearance, for those ones who are mathematicians, this appearance is like a hexagon or a pentagon. So we are saying the appearance, when you look at the tissue from the upper part or the upper surface, the cells from the upper surface appear hexagonal, that is 6-sided, or pentagonal. That means they have five sides. When you look at them from the upper side, from this surface here, that's how they appear. And then something very important as I leave this area is that simple cuboidal tissue, epithelial tissue, is the least specialized tissue. What do we mean? These cells can perform different functions. Because this especially means they can perform different functions. That's why when you come to the roles, you find that this tissue can perform, when it comes to the roles, you can find that this tissue can perform secretion role. They can secrete. They can be able to carry out reabsorption. They can also facilitate protection. They can do very many functions. Why? Because the cells are not that much specialized. And therefore, if it comes to location, where they are located in different places. For example, we have got like in glands. In glands like what? Like salivary glands. In salivary glands, they do the work of secretion. They are found in sweat glands. In sweat glands, they do the work of excretion. We have got the thyroid gland and so on and so forth. Then, they are also found in ducts, such as what? We have got pancreatic what? Pancreatic duct. Pancreatic duct. We have also got what we call the collecting duct, that is within the nephron. We have also got the converted tubules of the nephron. All those areas, they have what we call the simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. We come to the columnar. In columnar, the cells are column-like. The cells here, the cells are what? The cells are elongated. Like here the name, the cells are column-like in shape. And because of this, something special is that these cells, apart from being column in a shape of a column, these cells have got between the cells within this tissue, there is what we call goblet cells. Some of you call it globulate. The word is called goblet cells. Now, these goblet cells, something important about them is that these cells are mucus secreting. They secrete mucus. They are mucus secreting. So within this tissue, we have got mucus secreting cells. Apart from this, is that at the free end, its free end has got what? Has got microvilli. Microvilli, those are finger-like projections. Remember the free end, I've already explained it at the beginning. So the free end has got what we call microvilli. And this microvilli is important in providing a surface area, increasing the surface area for different functions in those areas where this tissue is found. For example, if I'm to do some illustration, you have a basement membrane, because this was I have a basement membrane, and this basement membrane, you have cells which are column-like. You see the cells that are elongated, they are column-like. Like that. Then, in between here, you have a smaller cell, which is we are calling the goblet cell, like that. So you have such kind of cells which are like that. So, now in this extreme end, we have said this extreme end has got microvilli, like that. So, this one here is the goblet cell, which is for secreting mucus. Then these are column cells, is that for the rest, the cells are elongated, and the cells have got a nucleus which is oval-shaped. The nucleus of these cells is oval-shaped. And something special is that for these other things, we were saying the nucleus was found in the middle, was found at the center. But for this particular tissue, we are saying the nucleus is found near the basement membrane. That's another very important point that you're not supposed to forget. The nucleus is oval-shaped and is found near the what? Near the basement membrane. Now, if they ask you what's the location, where is the location of such kind of a tissue? Where's the location? Now, you ask yourself, where do I have mucus in my body? Where do I have mucus? I have mucus, for example, I know some of you are now thinking about the respiratory system. We have mucus, for example, in our stomach. So in the stomach walls produce mucus. Why? Because of the goblet cells. So this tissue is found in the stomach walls. We also have intestines. And then you can also ask, because intestines, for example, we have microvilli. Those ones I said about intestines, you know that intestines have got microvilli to increase surface area for absorption. So we have intestines and so on and so forth. That's why you find such kind of tissues. Then we come to the columnar, simple columnar ciliated. Now, for this particular case, it is very simple. Why is it very simple? All these things I have talked about, simple columnar epithelial tissue, they are all present where? They're also present here. The only difference is that now when it comes to the simple columnar ciliated epithelial tissue, is that now at the free end, this free end part here, the free end of the cells, this end which is far away from the basement membrane, instead of having microvilli, for it has, the free end has got what? Has got cilia. That's how we get the word ciliated. Cilia, these are hair-like structures. So the rest are all the same. They have a nucleus which is oval-shaped near the basement membrane. The cells are elongated, but now the free end of the cells have got cilia. So where is the location? The location here, you know, those areas where you have mucus, you have also cilia. I think now that one you know. For example, we have got like the respiratory what? We have also got, we have got, like for example, the respiratory what? The respiratory tract. Respiratory tract. Respiratory tract. For example, in your trachea, you have got mucus, you have got hair-like structures to trap dust. And we have also got the oviduct. In the oviduct, we have got hair. We have got hair in the oviduct to push the egg or the zygote after fertilization. That is, those are areas. We have cilia there. So all those areas where we have cilia, we can find there simple columnar ciliated epithelial tissue. And then lastly, the pseudostratified epithelial. The word in biology, when you talk about pseudo means false. Stratified, it comes from the word strata. Strata means layers. So when we say pseudostratified, we are meaning this tissue, remember we have said that the simple epithelial tissue are made up of a single layer. So this tissue appears as if it has many layers. This tissue appears as if it has many layers, but ideally, it has a single layer of cells. Why? When you have a basement membrane which is like this, and then after, you have cells, some cells which have grown and they have reached at the extreme end. They have grown and they have reached at the extreme end. Then you have got some cells which are still growing, and therefore, they are still growing, but they have not reached their extreme end. Then you have got cells which are also which are like this, you know, something like this. So when you look at it from far, you may think that these are two layers because it's as if we have two layers here. But the real thing is, this is one layer, only that this cell has not yet reached the other extreme end. So this is why we are calling it pseudostratified, because it is as if it is a false. It is appearing as if this pseudo means false. False. It as if it has many layers. But ideally, the truth is it has a single layer, but only that some cells have not yet reached the free end. And the best example here to use is, for example, this one is we usually find it in the urinary what? In the urinary tract. Yeah. So this is as far as simple epithelial tissue is concerned. Now, in our next episode, I'm going to break down more about the glandular tissue and then the other tissues. Thank you for watching.